All right, we're live. We're doing another episode here of a podcast. I can't even remember what number this is, somewhere in the 60s here, and we have a great guest on today, Nilesh Jain, podcast coach. We were just talking before getting on here about podcasting, and we had to push record because we were starting to chat about some good stuff there, and we just connected online, kind of on the back end of the podcast scene, in some group chats. So thanks for making time here today, Nilesh, and I'm excited to chat more with you about your podcast journey. You've been doing it a little bit longer than we have. There's always something for us to learn personally, but also for the listener here to take into account, the benefits of running a podcast in their business, or for their personal brand, and kind of the strength that does generate. So excited to chat a little bit more with that today. But why don't you tell the listener here a little bit more about yourself and where you're at today in the podcast journey, and how you're helping folks.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. It's really pleasure to be on this show. So I'm doing podcast from last 3 years, and in this 3 years of journey, I host podcasts with multi-millionaires and billionaires on my show. And just because of podcast, just because of interview podcast, I can say most of the time, it transformed my life, it transformed my business. I built a multiple six-figure business over the period of time because of this. I built a coaching business, I built a service business, and got opportunity to work with a lot of big entrepreneurs, I can see, just because of this one podcast, just because of this platform, I can say more of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. And so you started 3 years ago, and the focus is like more like, I'll call it, on the monetary side, successful entrepreneurs, right? They've figured a way to grow their business and become successful that way. So what started that for you and your direction there in the podcast?
Wow. So actually, the direction of the podcast was not something directly in the head, but because of I have a dream to be on a mic. Like
Cool.
I, yeah, I was like, I want to become a singer. I want to become a radio jockey. Do you know RJ kind of people? Radio jockey who is speaking on RJ and all. So I wanted to become, and then
Okay.
I have a dream to become actor as well. In
Cool.
yeah, so this is a kind of dream I have, but I didn't take initiative just because of my own limiting belief, just because of my thought process,
Yeah.
like I am not good enough, and I'm just thinking in my head, but there is no action step. And then 2020 COVID happened. I lost a job that I was in, and
Yeah.
because of that job lose, I'm like, what's the next step for me? So I started searching on internet, Google. I tried different things, and I read a book called .com Secret by Russell Brunson. Have you heard about him?
You know what? That book is not familiar to me, but
Okay.
I may have seen it. It's not on my bookshelf. I can speak to that sitting in the corner here. I know that I don't own that one, but oddly enough, I've discovered the other day that I actually bought a book twice. That was
Okay.
kind of embarrassing, kind of funny,
got
but
got it.
I don't think I have that one. But what's that book about?
Yeah, that book is mostly about marketing, how you can market your business. But there, in that book, there is one concept like become a reporter, and that concept is just for one paragraph. That's it. Like
Right.
become a reporter is where it is talking about if you are someone who is starting your journey and you wanted to learn from expert, you wanted to build a connection,
Right. Okay.
go and become reporter. And that one concept triggered in my head. Okay, that is something I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
when I got the idea of this interview podcast in September 2020, but as I mentioned, I was like overthinker. I'm not taking initiative. I just get the idea, but I didn't take initiative. Then after 6 to 8 months in June 2021, I started the journey, and it's more or like God opportunity, or I can say universe calling for me, like,
Cool.
okay, you have to do this. Because a person reached out to me and he said, like, hey bro, can you do interview of mine on your profile? Because at that point of time I started Facebook Live with the 100+ episode of
Right.
Facebook Live. So a person reached out to me and he said, like, hey, can you do podcast of mine on your profile? And at the same time, A person come from uh, like there's a one person who came to me and he said, "Hey bro, I'm going to teach you this process. Would you like to be my first ever student?" I said
Oh,
yes. So he was
nice.
calling for me. Idea came in the mind in September 2020, and before that,
Yeah.
I wanted to become a actor, singer. So that's how the journey of being on mic, podcasting is
Yeah, and
happened.
getting on camera and yeah, learning that process there. So
Yeah.
what yeah, awesome. And what has been one of the biggest um highlights of the journey so far for you?
One of the biggest highlight is got opportunity to talk with a lot of people who have who build a multi-million dollar or billion-dollar business. Number one. Second is able to connect with the people who have a higher impact and influence. And when I'm talking about higher impact, they
Yeah,
are not just serving like 100 people, 10 people. They are serving hundreds, thousands of and millions of people in their overall journey, right? And
oh,
because of their influence, I learn a lot. I learn from their wisdom in a short period of time, in just a 1 hour conversation like this on this podcast. Got
totally.
opportunity to work with them, serve them in their journey. So this is a kind of highlight I can say.
Awesome.
Yep.
And now, so now you have your own podcast, and now you're helping folks create their own podcast and just get started on that journey, which is
Yep.
something similar. We're comparing notes before a little bit too. We do that through the marketing company, and that's definitely something that we encourage folks to do if it's the right stage for their journey. In your opinion, what would you say is like kind of like the right stage or right situation for someone to start a podcast? Like why would someone start a podcast? I'm definitely teeing you up here on this one because they're going to join you on this part of the conversation. But why should someone start a podcast if they're thinking about doing it?
Why should someone start a podcast? Why
Yeah.
not? Why not? I wanted to say
I love
why not,
it. Awesome.
right? Because
Yeah,
with it, with the help of podcasts, you are talking with your I can say you are talking with your ideal prospect. Number one, very, if you
right,
feel like, okay, I have a this product, and this is the kind of people I am going to sell my services. Here's your
right,
ideal product. You are overcoming your sales cycle. In terms of, if I am talking about on the point of monetization or on the point of money part, right? But still, if
right.
why somebody have to start, because it is your platform. And because of this one platform, you are building your credibility, you are building your network, and your
Right.
network is your net worth. You never know which
Yeah,
connection can transform your journey. You have no
yeah,
idea. Just because of one network, one connection, everything change in your life. So that's the big reason you are building your authority, you are building your credibility, you are building your connection. And when these three things happen, everything grows. And
totally.
most important thing is, I love this quote, like people love to work with people whom they know, like, and trust. And podcast is
Yeah.
one of the best way to build trust.
Yeah, actually, well, I just got quoted. I happened to be on another podcast last week,
Mhm.
and we were chatting about business stuff and kind of the journey of podcasting and
Yeah.
why we guys started. And one of the things that I had alluded to too is I think along the same path here is that you just, I mean, it's good to capture. We have all these other like social media platforms, images, videos on there, great. But when you're having a conversation with someone and capturing that, it gives someone a huge insight to how you're going to be to communicate mostly, with them if you were to do business with them, regardless of that being the angle on the podcast. Like for us, we have a lot of business owners on that are like earlier stage and, they're or, mid-sized company kind of getting into larger in some cases, but it's just to highlight them and hopefully to get their word out from where we're located on the map. It's we have some limitations within our population here, so then there's only so many people that are going to see services locally, and it's good for folks to get exposure outside of that. That's kind of how it all started. Then it was just like, then we had some athletes on, then I'm like, oh cool, now we have basically like high performers on the podcast ultimately. And so yeah, but I mean ultimately it's a great capture of showcasing your personality, that persona that's on here. And kind of where my tail end on this is like, one, there's a great long tail on the whole thing, And then number two is like once you've done enough of them, you can't really fake it. There's like you're eventually going to become you on screen. Not that anyone's really going out there and like purposely, but you kind of get a little like stiff on the first few. Like I go back and watch my first few ones, and I'm like, oh, that was like okay, because I've always been all right to just jump into a conversation. But there's nothing really off the table as far as what we're going to talk about. It's mostly going to be business related, but you still get to hear the insight of those folks, like what they think on screen. In your case, what you think on, hear about how you got started, who you're interviewing, how that's going, why you would start a podcast. And then, like you said, the more views, the bigger the network, the more, network, the more view, like, it's just like a cycle of things that are out there. But I think the important thing to remember too is like, for those companies who are starting them or individuals, like, why are you starting it though? Or like, what are the goals associated with it? Because you're going to have to commit to a certain length of time, to run the podcast and keep it going. It
So
can't just
true.
be, hey,
So
we're
true.
doing,
Yes.
like 5 episodes and then we're out. You got to probably keep going for like a bit of a long haul, so you gain a little bit of a following. Or like a group that we worked with, they wanted to do a podcast because they were having trouble in this particular company with hiring efforts. And so we're still working with them to create their first season of a podcast because they're a newer company in an older industry, which is interesting. And I was like, oh, like I see the benefit right away. Yeah, it will help you make the podcast as part of it. But if you want to get your persona out there and share that with folks out there who may not be familiar with you, on places like LinkedIn where we, had followed up and connected more on there. But that's a great networking space. Someone local to Winnipeg, goes by the name of Mike, always posts about how LinkedIn is a trade show every day. And he's a great mentor poster out there. And I love that being said, because LinkedIn is definitely an online trade show every day. You're networking with people, you're sharing your story. And if you can have that podcast, on there, great. And hopefully, more folks are tuning in and getting to know the personality of the leadership team, in that case. So anyways, that's my rant. Podcasts are good. But
Interesting.
yeah,
I wanted to add one point here, which is
100%.
you are building your legacy.
Yeah,
You are
totally. Yeah, something you can go back to. And
Yeah, you are not just doing
yeah,
it for a short period of time. This is going to be a lifetime. If you really
yeah,
host a podcast with somebody who is going to make impact, it's a lifetime legacy that you have created. All of you might be read the book Think and Grow Rich. I have this with me here, the Think and Grow Rich, right?
Rich. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So what this book is, in this book author met with a lot of entrepreneurs and he learned a lot from all of the entrepreneurs, and he shared the stories that he have the discussion, the conversion with all of the people, and he shared the life lessons, the experience from the book and this Think and Grow Rich book built because of the discussion, the conversion happened with other entrepreneurs and their journey and all of the things. So you are building your legacy. This, I don't know when this book actually launched, but it's might be 100-year old, or even
Huh.
more than that. I don't remember that when this book actually launched, but it is still in front of me in my table,
Awesome.
right? So
So yeah, very.
legacy for a long term
Yeah,
might
no,
be.
definitely. That's a great way to look at it too, right? And I mean, if you're trying to get into like the film side of things, maybe podcasting fills that, that need or that desire for you wanting to take that, yeah, further and stuff. But what question for you? So before, I think you mentioned like you had a bit of a career change. I got talking about this topic the other day a little bit more, and it's pretty interesting. But what did you do? We'll start off with what did you do before getting into podcasting? What industry were you in?
Wow. Thank you for reminding me that. So
Hopefully, it's an okay one to talk about.
no, I'm happy to talk about it. So before actually starting podcast, I was in I'm more into affiliate marketing, organic marketing.
Okay.
So like I'm selling a product of Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels. It is a software company whose software I'm selling, and whose
Cool.
coaching courses I'm selling as an affiliate. I'm making commission. I did it for 1 year or 1.5 year in my
Yeah.
journey, and after over the period of time, I feel like okay. When I started my podcasting journey, I feel like okay, now I don't want to be an affiliate marketer, which is a lot of people are already doing. It's kind of a red ocean, I can say. So I think
Yeah.
let me go on a blue ocean, which is interview podcast, and more or less I am doing that one thing. So there is a quote like, "Preach what you practice." I
Yeah.
started preaching this process of podcasting like after a year.
Right.
First,
And now you're like, you
first
better
all
get
year
into it.
I did it by myself. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
like, okay, I just did my first episode and I went to teach someone something. No, I didn't did that kind of thing. I did for one whole year.
Yeah.
So I'm more affiliate marketer. I promote affiliate products. I did all business, all of the business as an organic on Facebook, and I'm still doing my entire business organically. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is what I did. And before starting or entering into fully podcasting industry, I was an affiliate marketer or organic marketer.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Very neat. Sounds like you did pretty well at it, or just the way that you're chatting about it. But then this, the passion of podcasting kind of has taken over, and now you're
Yeah.
doing that. And yeah, how many episodes are you in?
So we are about to complete hundreds. So might be
Oh, the
the
centennial.
yeah.
Cool. Right on,
Uh,
man.
so 94 or 95 is something I have completed till now. So soon it
Cool.
will be 100.
That is very awesome.
Yep.
Cool. What's been what's been your biggest learning about from your guests that you've had on?
Uh, love this question. So I have a lot of learning, by the way, from each and every podcast, from each and every guest.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest learning that I always share, and most of the time I share, which is never give up.
Yeah.
You can achieve anything in your life that you dreamed of if you never give up. Because
Cool.
I heard 95 different stories from
Yeah.
different people, and one common point in each and every story is they didn't give up. Why? Because they have a lot of downfall in their journey, and in
Yeah.
that moment if they feel like, okay, I don't want to, uh, in that moment they were like, okay, I feel like I'm completely broke, but they didn't give up. They are in the momentum, they are in the, like, they are just bounce back, they are just pushing themselves like, okay, I'm going to win this game. And just because of they didn't give up,
Yeah.
they build a multi-million dollar business, they build a billion-dollar business, even they, let's leave the money part, but they build a huge impact in the lot of people's life. And just
Cool.
because of that,
Yeah.
their never giving up attitude make impact in somebody else's life.
Cool.
If
I
they
like to hear
themselves
that a
give up,
lot.
like how they can impact in anybody else's life. So this is the biggest learning, like never giving up attitude can can help you to achieve any milestone that you are dreamed of. But you have to be in the game, you have to enjoy the process,
Right.
and you have to be consistent with your effort. So this is the biggest learning I
100%.
have.
Cool, man. No, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think, I mean, that's awesome, especially after that many, yeah, episodes
Thank
that
you.
you like. Congratulations, that's really cool. That and yeah, that no give up. Well, how about was there any mention? And I just wrote this down here. Was like on the length of time that folks were until they hit success. How long did it take them? Was there? I don't know if that's like a standard question or if you know this or not, but was it like a 3-year mark, 5-year mark, 10-year mark, or and like did anyone ever chat about that with you?
Loved it. So for every person, it's a different.
Yeah,
It's completely a journey of your own actions, but still, if you can say, if you are 100% focused enough with your effort, with your work, you can achieve any milestone in 6 months. If I personally, not coming from the, my first language is not English. I'm not native English person, but I'm talking with
cool.
you. I don't know if you notice it or not, but when I started my journey, I'm struggling a lot to coming up with any word, to coming up with anything like how I'm going to deliver it and all. But just because of consistency, just because of
Yeah,
doing it again and again, I mastered it. So there is no time limit for how you. at what time of you can achieve success. I just give you an example from my own journey. For
Yeah.
what I decided is like, I decided, okay, let me go and do Facebook Live for next 365 days without giving up.
Cool.
I completed that mark just because of one thing, which is I wanted to overcome this limiting belief that I'm not good in English communication. I wanted to improve this English
Get better
communication.
by doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are better by doing it. So for me, I did it for 365 days whole, and in 100 days, I started seeing that there is an
Interesting.
improvement. Even like in 10 days, I see that there is some improvement is happening. But I can say for
Right.
1 hour, 1 year, one whole year, I did it consistently. I see a huge improvement in myself. So if you can do one thing at a day, one thing on daily basis for next whole 1 year, nobody can stop you to achieve whatever the dreams, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there is no point like you are going to fail.
Huh.
Failure is not an option for you, because you are putting 1% effort on daily basis to achieve the dream yet you have. I hope it makes sense to you.
No, 100%. No, I'm just impressed. Like that's a pretty it like it some people I think it's easy to just do that like stuff for an entire year, like you just casually mention that, but that is a struggle because not only are there um days where motivation may not be there to get up and go and do
Definitely.
the live and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go do this thing today. But then there's also like I mean, between like mentally and physically getting worn down, like though I'm sure that there was days where you weren't feeling great, whatever, life happens, you get
Definitely.
sick
I
and you
I
still
have
show up.
a
Yeah.
I have a time when sorry to interrupt you, but
No, no,
I
no,
was like,
that's perfect.
uh, in the journey of 365 days Facebook Live, I at beginning of the journey, I started at doing it at midnight, uh, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. The reason why I did it, because I am going to do it on my Facebook profile, where my family members, my relatives, my cousins, my colleagues, all are watching, going to watch me. And I don't want to feel like, okay, this person is watching me right now. I am doing live. There is an because on Facebook Live, when you are going to do live, you can
Yeah,
see the name of the people. Okay, XYZ person is watching you right now. And I have that
totally.
thought in my mind, like, what if they are going to watch me? How I am going to deal with it? So just for that reason, I did for next 50 days, or for I don't remember the exact date, but for 50 to 100 days I did it for in midnight, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because that point of time a lot of people are not going to watch. And also there's one reason, like, uh, my target audience is watching at this point of time, so I'm like, okay,
Right.
my target audience is watching me, and I don't want a
Your
people who
family to,
don't, yeah, right.
right, right, right.
That's
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
okay, but you have to be consistent. Sometimes I feel like, okay, it's at midnight, I feel like sleepy and all, but I wake up, I wash my face, and then I did the Facebook Live. So all of this journey I
Oh, cool.
overcome, and that's where things
And
you can
so
achieve the whatever you have.
what did you learn? I guess like part of it from the start, I might be wrong here, so tell me how this actually played out. But when you were doing the the live, was the idea to like improve? It sounded like you were kind of like going through the learning a language while doing this. Is that correct? And like trying to practice like English, from my understanding, is that part of the consistency here and what you're trying to accomplish?
Okay, that's a, by the
Is
way,
that what you were?
no, yeah, nobody asked me this question, so thank you for asking this, by the way.
Yeah.
What's the part of my accomplishment was, number one is I wanted to overcome all of the limiting beliefs that I have in my head, that I am good for nothing.
Oh, okay.
I Before starting Facebook Live, I joined a communication coaching,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in that communication coaching, I did 100 plus. I published 100 plus videos, but they all are in the private community. And when you are doing something inside private community, there is the people who have a mindset that this person is learning, so they don't judge you.
Right.
And
A little
I
bit
did it
kinder.
on my profile to that go
Yeah.
people can judge me. And when people
Right.
can judge me, I know that I have to improve on this one thing, because that's where you feel, you get like, when you are getting criticism,
Yeah, yeah.
and you feel, okay, that's no, This is a positive criticism. I recently learned this thing from, I forgot it from, but you can take it in a positive way and you can take it in a negative way, criticism, right? So I
Totally.
take it
Yep.
in a positive way, like, okay, this is a something somebody is talking, okay, let me improve on this point, let me improve on this point, let me improve on this point, and that's where you
Yep.
can win the game in the life.
Awesome. No, no, no. I think that's great. So you're saying criticism, yeah, within the group before going on the live. So you made like 100 videos, then you went 365 every day going
Yes.
live, and then we got into podcasting after that. I think that's, like I said, that's super impressive that you went 365 on that, because that's a feat. But that consistency right there, tells me a lot about um, that you're going to keep rolling with this podcast. You're almost at 100 episodes there. What's ultimately the goal then with your podcast? Um, that once you hit 100, what's next, and where are you going to take this thing?
See, my big goal is I wanted to host podcasts with all the top leaders in the world.
Okay,
So I am not going to stop. Like, okay, I did 100. I am not going to stop. I
sweet.
have to be. I wanted to be like all the top podcasters, just like Oprah Winfrey, Joy Rogan, and all of the big names. I also wanted to be on that path. Number one, right? Then
Yeah.
second is I know what I know, but there is a people who know more than me,
Oh yeah.
and with my
I know
platform,
you're going with this. Yeah, that's fun.
I can serve more and more people. I can deliver knowledge, impact a lot
Right.
of people's life by getting experts wisdom to my audience. So this is something,
Oh,
what I know, but by inviting them I can serve more and more people, right? So this is
100%.
another goal. And as
Yeah,
the show name of mine is Warrior Show, the entrepreneur warrior show. So I wanted to develop a warrior mindset in people's.
absolutely.
So yeah, that's a goal for me.
Very awesome. No, I think that's awesome. So there's really no set number in mind necessarily. It's kind of you're just going to keep
Hmm.
going it and growing the brand. Um, I think that's awesome. I know that for us right now, like we're creeping up on 60 personally here, and I think we might try to go like a number in my mind, which will take a long time to get to, but I think a goal for us would be to get to like 1,000 total.
Hmm.
And I think we're gonna really lean in this year, and but I mean it's a long play. That's a lot of time, right? As you know, it that doesn't happen overnight
See,
for getting guests to be on, setting time, doing all that stuff that
yes,
comes along with it. But we could, I don't know, I'd be happy doing this. I love meeting people too, the same way that you mentioned. Networking within that, and then we get to help promote those companies. That's ultimately like our goal, with the back end on the marketing side there. But yeah, very cool.
that's true. That's true. And even what is the one thing is, when you are doing something, you are keeping a lot of people behind you, because
Yeah,
what happened here is people continuously seeing you, people continuously noticing, okay, this person is doing something.
yeah,
How the
yeah.
hell this person is all the time like doing this much
I
thing? How the hell?
hundred
And yeah,
percent.
and
Oh
and
man,
what podcasting is something, if you can do for long term, can see the result. You must know Oprah Winfrey. She started at the age of 21. Her talk show journey and radio
yep,
journey. She's right now to 70 or 70 plus, and she's a billionaire.
yeah,
Billionaire. So podcasting can transform your life if you just stick with it for a long term,
yeah,
because it's a
absolutely. I
long
think
term.
that's a really good point. I definitely think of it similarly. I don't know if my goal would be to necessarily be that big of a host or whatever, but I think it's just a really neat thing to yeah, be involved with. I literally had a message. I don't want to pull up my phone and share a screen for this one screenshot that I had, but it basically said, they're like, I don't know what you're doing, because we cut up every episode and we put it into shorts and stuff, right? And then we push that content out. And I've heard it said from other folks that are further along in the podcast journey, but some of their goals are to post like 5 times a day, and I think we're up to 3 times on the shorts, and it's spread out, like one's morning, one's lunch, and one's afternoon. But in this particular day, for whatever reason, this a lady who follows us, She runs a business as well. She's like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but all I'm seeing is a podcast online today, like literally all over the place. And I'm like, oh, that's neat. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Because sometimes when you follow a page that's new, you'll get a lot of that stuff right away. And that
Yeah,
wasn't the
that's
case.
true.
We've been
That's very true. That's
like,
very
it
true.
can happen that way, but that wasn't the case here. So I don't know what she had going on there. But, she saw it all day. And then we're, top of mind, like you said, for your business there too, right? People see it, they talk about it. It's kind of, call what it is, but like marketing 101, right? Takes 8 times to make the sale. People see it consistently and see that pattern, like what you kind of proved with doing 365 days of Facebook Live there, which again, I find very impressive. Like it's tough enough to stick to like a workout routine where you're going and doing a similar thing, or at least sticking to a plan for, a month or two without having a break or having a whoops, I missed today moment. So I'm sure that you're going to go pretty far on this journey if you can, yeah,
Hmm.
lean
Yes.
into doing 365. So yeah, that's super cool there. So how did you get like equipment wise, just talking like podcasts, like if someone was going to get started, what are your thoughts on recommending like how someone gets started in podcasting from your point of view?
Can I be honest here?
Yes. Well, of course. Yeah.
I thank you. So I started with the zero investment. I invest in my mentors, but
Yeah.
I didn't invest in any equipment. I
Cool.
use the equipment that I have. If anybody who is watching this right now, if you are newbie, if you are beginner, even if you are having a multi-million dollar business, but still you can start with the zero equipment. What I have was my HP laptop, and in that laptop I have inbuilt web camera. Then I have
Yeah.
a tube light at my home. Then what else I have is earbuds. That's the three
Yeah.
thing I have. And for
Cool.
having more focus on my face, I use my mobile phone flashlight.
I
That's
love
how
that.
I that's how I begin. And even 3 years ago, there is no broadband in my home, so I just use my mobile internet and turn
To
on the
hotspot it.
hotspot and connect my laptop,
Yeah.
and that's how I did my first podcast.
Good, man.
That's how I begin.
That's that's awesome to hear. I went out and bought a couple lights um when I did mine, but and a little bit of a backdrop, or this was now a green screen here, right? So we have
Yeah.
different setup than when I started too, but interesting. I don't Some people talk it up like it's a big thing, but I totally agree with you. I know one of the first things I said to a gentleman we had on, and he was after the podcast, he's like, I'm thinking of starting one. And I said, cool. He's like, what do I need to get? And I said, well, here's like, there is a list of stuff you could go get, but usually I am wearing AirPods. It's either AirPods or these. Um, I just switched it up. I was talking on the AirPods all earlier today, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll put these on. But I totally agree with you there. That's I think one of my main things that I tried to get across to him. I said one of your bigger issues will be scheduling people to be on, and then you just getting better at it, and just feeling more comfortable on the camera, right? Like we still use the camera that's coming off of here. We have invested in other options just to start to like test out and take it to the next, production level, which we are, I guess it's already happening on the back end and stuff, and now have a little team to help support that. But I think just getting started, figuring out what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at, rewatch them, learn from it. Um, I think that's awesome. And so, and where are things at today? I know that it looks like you have a nicer mic in front of you there now, and a backdrop there in your place. But what other investments have you made in the podcast to date?
So what others like? There's a camera, then this is a mic, and there's a ring light, right? And this is a backdrop, and definitely tools like StreamYard and editing softwares, publishing tools, and all of these things. But still, it is
Cool.
not expensive equipment.
Yeah.
When I share this one thing, like, okay, I started with nothing. I just wanted to pass this message to people, like, go and start. You don't have to invest heavily on any tool, because people are like, okay, I don't have, if, as you mentioned right now, like some people are going to purchase lights, going to purchase this, then this, and then when it comes to implementing the stuff on that tools,
Right.
there is
Yeah.
no implementation. They are just
Yeah.
somewhere in the storeroom, and that's it.
Yep. No,
Am I
definitely
right?
for a lot of folks, no, it definitely can be that way. In my case, there's lights literally around me now. So it's a little bit different. I have them kind of on standby here for a couple
So,
scenarios in the
so the
office
first
space
thing
here.
is, so the first thing is start it, get in the momentum, and then you can purchase other equipment like camera, mic, lights, background, setup studio, whatever you want. But get in the momentum first, and then all of the things are required. I purchased all of this
Yeah,
equipment like once I completed 15 or 20 episodes in the
cool.
journey.
That was going to be my next question. When did that happen? So that's really fun. Yeah,
After
I'd
15,
say,
yeah.
yeah, that I think that makes tons of sense because at that point you're kind of like flowing with it. Okay, you're like, all right, I'm over that initial like 10. I'm moving towards 20. We've done enough of them, and we use StreamYard too. We're experimenting with some other avenues. That's what we're recording on today here. And
Yes.
I love the setup here with them, but there's other softwares out there that folks can use. I mean, just like the tale as old as time for our generation, anyways, about the debate of what's better, Apple or Android, and I don't know, just get started, right? Use one that you like the look of and the layout of, right? Because we look at, everyone looks at stuff differently, kind of in the the UX UI management of things, right? I like this setup on StreamYard, but some people rave, Riverside or a couple of the other, I forget all the other names of them, but there's other recording platforms that are great too. They
Mm.
just kind of look confusing to me initially, right? And
Platforms are there. A lot of platforms are there, but the thing is,
yeah,
are you going to start it or not? Everybody, you have to
totally.
ask this question to themselves, like, are you going to start or not? Because
Yeah,
you mentioned StreamYard, then you mentioned Riverside. I can give you
yeah,
name like OneStream. I can give you the Zoom. All platforms
right.
are there to record,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
point
yeah,
is, you have to take first step.
for sure. And where are your podcasts put out to? Where do they go out to once they're recorded on your end?
So we mostly publish on like all this podcast platform like Spotify, then Google Podcasts, then Apple Podcasts, then YouTube. Then we have a team members who is sitting only for editing the part and cut out
Okay,
reels. So we publish all the reels on Shorts. We publish reels on Insta Live, Insta Reels, Facebook Reels, and YouTube Shorts. So that's how the distribution of content is happening, and we are creating omnipresence because of the podcast.
awesome.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Cool. And I guess like social media wise too, where are you guys on? I know we have LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, obviously Facebook, but and what other socials are you guys on?
So mostly Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as you just mentioned, and then YouTube.
Yeah.
And the Medium is also where I publish the articles from my own podcast. Okay, this is the podcast I did with this person, and I
Okay.
write down top 10 learning, 10 15 learnings, and then I drive people to, okay, if you wanted to watch the entire conversion, go and visit this particular platform. So Medium is there, then Quora is there, and we publish all of the platform on. I'm not mostly publishing on Quora, but yeah, Medium we are doing.
Okay. And sorry, I'm not familiar with Medium. What is that? Is that that's like a website or it's like a forum
Yeah, it's a
site?
kind of forum, medium.com.
Okay.
So biggest platform.
Cool. I didn't know that. I'm learning something right here live on the podcast here, but I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to go look it up after this. So
One of the biggest platform. If you search anything, any specific terminology, you definitely get article from medium.com as well. Like one is a Quora and second one is a
okay.
medium.com. Yeah.
Okay. Which I mean, and the as you're familiar with too, like the more platforms that you're on, you're growing different audiences on there because not everyone is on all platforms, right? So trying to produce that organic growth on there, I think it's huge for yourself, other folks trying to look to get into podcasting, or for their existing business or personal brand. If they're growing that, I could see a huge win from
Yes.
that too. How do you manage all the content? What do you guys do to help manage the content going out, like on the shorts or posts and stuff on the social medias?
So we maintain the Excel sheets. Like, okay, so we have an entire Excel sheet where we put out the, okay, this is the day we are going to publish this reel on this platform, and this is reel then this platform. So we have an entire content calendar which is in Excel sheet, and we
Okay.
manage in that way. So yeah, our team member, video editor team is doing this. Okay, we publish this thing we are going to do
Nice.
this thing. And so Excel sheet is something helping us to managing our content. And it's also, we give a title to the video itself, so we know like which is the
Right.
reel we already published. Like otherwise it's not like we can, okay,
Right.
video one, video two, we cannot organize in that way. Or just a
Yeah.
random title like video, we cannot help understand. But having a proper title in the video itself helping
Right.
us to manage all the content on all the platforms.
Cool. No, I think
Yeah.
that, I mean, that makes tons of sense. We try to do a similar thing there. I think it's awesome that you're planning
Hmm.
ahead. You know, something that came up on my radar the other day, I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago. No, that doesn't matter. A buddy of mine though, runs a business, and I was just chatting with him on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going? We're catching up and stuff." And obviously, we spend more time on marketing, but in general, for the podcast, like our shorts, as I mentioned, go out daily, a few times a day, blah blah blah. And it was still a surprise to me though that some folks in business are not scheduling ahead or thinking of that stuff for their own marketing for like their own brand or their thing. And because I was just like, oh, he's got to be using something, you know, for the stuff that he puts out. And he's like, no, I post daily, and I'm like, that's insane. I was like, we got to catch up. So I'm catching up with him next week or the week after. We got a meeting just to try to wrap his head around, man, you got to schedule this stuff ahead because there's no reason why you can't. And I'm sure it's going to be like a relief. I'm sure you felt that too once you started scheduling things out. So I'm super happy to hear you guys are doing that too, right? It's um, a really great thing to do. It gives you way more time to plan. It's such an obvious thing, I think, for businesses, regardless of it being in podcasting, but podcasting for sure. You can plan when, the episode's going to go live or when the
Yeah,
shorts are going to go out.
definitely.
So I think that's huge. Good for you. And so when do you think you're going to hit the goal of 100 here to kind of wrap things up here? How far away is that for you guys? It's going to happen probably this spring or summer.
Might be this month or next month till 15th of June we are able to hit the milestone of 100 June. Sorry,
Awesome.
100 podcast. Like
Yeah,
definitely this month we are able to complete it, but still let's see.
yeah. No, for sure. You
We
gotta wait till
already
it
have
happens.
some lined up guests in lined up, and some of the very big influencers and kind of people on lined up as well.
Cool.
Might be this month or next month, but yes, it's going to be
Great.
100.
Awesome. And how do you find the best way to connect with your guests that you're getting on? Because they're probably very busy folks. How do you reach out to them? What's your approach there to get new guests on and figure out that side of things for the podcast world?
So mostly I uh, see like in my industry what kind of people are doing really amazing or having a good influence in the market, and with the
Right.
influence they make a huge impact. So that's suppose I attended an in-person event and I found that okay, this person is speech is really amazing. So I visit their profile and I visit their profile for at least one week. I notice their content, like how
Right.
they are publishing, what kind of things they are doing. So before I qualify them, I notice their stuff, like how they are doing it. So
Right.
there is one thing is everybody is not your guest. You have to
Totally.
manage every single person is not your dream guest, so you have to manage the quality
Yeah.
as well. So that's how I'm doing it. Suppose I attend in-person event, so and then one more thing is like suppose I'm following you, right, and you have a very big marketing agency, you are running a $100,000 business and $1 million business, and you have a kind of mentor, or suppose you are also following
Right.
someone who is making impact, so you are sharing about them on your profile, on your stories, and from there I got to know about that this person is there. So I am started noticing their content, and then that's how I am figuring out a guest. And there is many ways to find out guest, by the way. Over the period
Yeah.
of time I found 8 to 9 ways to find out a guest. I just share with you tools, right? And
Yeah.
how to reach out is mostly known, like, and trust factor is something I believe is the best way. Known, like, and trust factor is like, okay, this person is knowing me. Before I invite someone, I
Totally.
develop a known factor, line, like factor, and trust factor in front of them.
Yeah.
And because of that, known like and trust factor, when I invite them, when I'm telling them like, okay, I would love to invite you on my podcast, they are like, okay, yes, I am in.
Right.
So known like trust factor is something can definitely implementable for every single person.
No, no. I mean, I think that makes sense. You definitely want to have people that are part of the same energy,
Hmm.
as your tribe, so to say, that you're, um, whatever you want to call it, culture. Many words that are, very trendy and make a lot of sense, but you want to make sure that they're going to be on brand for what you're talking about, and then you, like you said, you genuinely like them too. We try to do the same thing. Even when we were chatting before, I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. You're talking about podcasting. We chatted a little bit before here. I knew it was going to be a great discussion today. Similar wavelengths for sure. I'm sure we've overlapped on reading books. We didn't get too far into that on today's episode, but maybe on a 2.0, when you're doing 300 episodes or 400 episodes, we'll chat again.
Definitely,
There,
yes.
but no, I think this has been awesome to have you on today. I just want to say thanks again for making time to be on. It's been great to talk about podcasting, benefits that you see from it, where you're at today, and excited to continue to watch and see your journey in this space here.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for inviting me. It's really glad to be on your podcast. Thank you so much once again for inviting.
Hey, no problem. Thank you so much, and we'll chat more soon.
Sure.